I'm quite sure that we're all here with one question. How do I get rid of my suffering? And there are many ways to get through those dilemmas, and this is one way of getting through. Keep in mind that I'm speaking mostly in a direct way, which is kind of difficult if one doesn't get used to it yet. But I also incorporate the indirect way too. So, if you cannot catch with this level, then we can understand with a different level, and such and such. So today I'm going to emphasize what we are mostly talking about, and most of us are, have some sense of inherence to it, which is this being right here, the being that's talking to you, and the being that's listening to me. So, and I'm trying to break it through so we can see that the selflessness, and once that we can see the selflessness, then we can have a chance of solving the suffering and such. So this present being comprises of two components. The two components are the first one is material. This is the first one. The second one is the mind. So these two components are the composites which makes the being alive, which is talking to you right now, which is you are listening to right now. The material comprises of the body. Very simple. Body. That's it. The material, because you can sense it. The second one is with the sensation feeling. Sensation feeling, perception, volition, and consciousness. The material, which is the body. The second one is the mind, which is the sensation, feeling, perception, volition, and the consciousness. So this body right here, I don't know, my writing is not very well, and I'm not very well coordinated, but this is two components, and then now I'm going to break down the body, okay? The body comprises of five portals of five sense base, which is the eye, the nose, the tongue, the body. 1, 2, 3, 4, and the ear. I'm sorry. Okay, somewhere in the ear. Okay, and then the sixth one is the mind. But right now, we're going with the eyes, nose, ears, tongue, and the body. And then now, without the external objects, then we wouldn't recognize anything at all. So let's say that when the eyes meets the object, external object, let's say that a flower. Okay, so let's say the flower. As soon as the eye contacts with the flowers, then the perceptions start working. Perceptions start working. It's gonna say that, what kind of flower is this? So, when you see a rose, you immediately, that the perception will start working, that it say that, oh, this is a rose. And then right there, after the perception will be immediately the sensation, feeling that comes in. Let's say the sensation. The sensations will come in and then create a mental factor, which is that, oh, this is lovely, this is beautiful, this is ugly, and right there, that is gonna. This is very important right now. These are the okay things for which to happen. But now, what's very important is that right here, at this moment, the like and dislike comes in. Here is the trouble, right there. If you stop at looking at an object, if you start recognizing that, oh, this is a flower, and that's it, completely stop, then everything is okay. But unfortunately, the mental factor come in, like and dislike. Right there is the problem. And getting more worse to it is that thought follows after that. And you can see very clearly the process of meditations working. First, the sense base, the eyes, nose, tongue, ears, and the body, and then the sense object. And then when they both meet, then perception start working, that it's going to break down and it's going to define what an object is. All of those are okay, completely, because there's nothing wrong with that, but it's just a normal human functioning. Nothing's wrong with that. But As soon as the like and dislike comes in, then there is the problem. The reaction, or we say that this is the reaction. And more worse than that, thought that gives fuel into the emotion, and then it's going to burn out more and more and more. And that's why in practice we try to recognize everything, and then we can stop at looking at an object without any like and dislike, without thought. And that's the key. But it's very unfortunate that we cannot stop. It's just the as of we are here right now. Somehow we are bound in some sort of karma. And depend on an object, depend on the karma which responds to the object, then everybody is going to respond in a different way. One of my clientele, I was serving him, and then we both saw a beautiful lady walk in. And then immediately he jumped in, oh, what a beautiful lady. I would trade everything to have a date with her. But when I look at her, what's so beautiful about her? I don't see, the beauty in her at all. It's not because of I practice Buddhism. It just got my taste that, oh, she's just a normal lady. It's still a beautiful lady. But to a monk, it will be an obstacle. An earnest monk will be an obstacle. To a lustful guy will be a subject for pleasure. But to a hungry lion, it will be a delicious meal. It's still the same lady. So it's different perception, different perspective looking at an object because of the karma. And why is that? Because of the like and dislike comes in. If one doesn't have a reaction, then everything will be okay. Every object coming through the five sense portals, everything will be okay. But because of this, and therefore, and because of this, and therefore, suffering arises. And how can we get rid of it? The like and thought, like and dislike and the thought. Remember that up until now, we are pre-programmed already, and therefore like and dislike and thoughts coming all the time, especially with thoughts. Thought runs 24 hours a day, and it runs our lives, and we don't recognize that. What we can do is adjust like this, just like one of those above. Let's say that because of it's already pre-programmed, so we cannot do anything about it. We cannot, nothing we can do about it. It's just the appropriate moment which the sense base that contacted the object, then like and dislike comes in already, and then thought automatically you jump in. If we can understand the process of like and dislike because of the pre-program, if we can understand that, then we have no problem of whether this come in or not. It's okay. It doesn't matter because we understand it. We understand that this is the pre-program. And then same thing with thought. It's a pre-program too. And that's why during the meditation that we probe deep inside the nature of the mind to understand such a thing like this. When we understand the totality, I mean, this is just a peripheral. It's not a deep base to understand the Buddhist psychology. But when we understand such a thing like this one, it doesn't matter that whatever arises, everything will be okay. Right there. This much we can understand. Then we can understand the like and dislike, and we can understand the thought. And when they come in, oh, it's a sensation, feeling. When they come in, oh, it's a mental factor. And when thought comes, oh, it's thought. Very simple, very simple. We don't have to identify ourselves with the like and dislike and thoughts. We don't have to, because of the nature of what it is right now, for which we are pre-programmed. And if we can see that, everything is okay. Now, what happens if we cannot control? If we lost ourselves in like and dislike, we lost ourselves in thoughts. What happened? We already understood what it is, what the pre-program, how the meditation works, and then we cannot control ourselves. We lost ourselves in anger, in greed and everything. Then the next step is that this is very, very important. Very easy. So what? What's done is done. And then the next step is that, so what? And right there we can drop everything off to go back to whatever it is. Don't tell me that I win every situation. No. Lucky myself that if I win the situations, 6 out of 10. I'm very lucky. But most often the chance of 5 with 5, 5, then I'm satisfied with that. But the thing is that when I'm angry, when I'm greed, when I'm jealous, immediately after that, so what? This is what it is. And then you totally accept it. You totally accept what's going on. You're not going to say, oh, why? Don't whine yourself saying, oh, why did I do this? Why did I miss this? Why didn't I be mindful? Such and such. No, it's not going to be helpful. Instead of that, just so what and drop it off and go on. You have a remorse for your anger. it doesn't help at all. It does not help. But if, in case that you get remorse for your anger, then use this word for your remorse. So what? And then you drop your remorse and you walk on. So this is extremely important. Extremely important. And another thing is that all of which I have written on the board, a lot of words, a lot of explanations, a lot of things, all written on the board. And what? The board doesn't care that how much you have written on the board. The board doesn't care that you have erased out any information, because of the board is your awareness. You're going back to being zero. Going back to being zero. That's it. No addition, no subtraction. Go back to being zero. And being zero means it's just an awareness. And you are aware. That's it. Very, very simple. And that if we got an advanced understanding, we can go from this. First, we don't, at the beginner, meditators, we don't know what is what. So we got instructed to a simple object, which is the breath, for instance. The breath. And then we try to understand, we try to stay with the breath. Maybe for a while, and then we're gonna find out, oh, there is something that knows the breath, which is the knowing. The knowing that knows the breath. So you're going to find out that very soon, sooner or later, because of this is the process that nobody can escape. Nobody can escape it. There's only one way of doing this. There's no other way. There is a knowing of the breath. At this stage, the breath is one. And the knowing is one, because of these are still separation. Very bad handwriting. We still separate between the breath and the knowing. But as we get to an advanced stage, now this is extremely important, the breath advanced stage, the knowing, and the breath, is the same. Knowing the breath is the same because there is no separation. You cannot separate it. It's extremely important that we cannot separate it. And then we go to a deeper stage is that the breath is the knowing. So as soon as you're mindful with your object, then you automatically know that the object is the knowing. This is extremely important. This is very, very hard to understand, but very soon you're going to be like that. gonna be there because there's no other way. It's just like that. It's just we narrow it down from a very wide. We go down, down, down into a very small one point. And right there is the core of all beings. And you are the knowing. You are not Marcus. You're not Yatam. You're not Daniel. You're not Jimmy. No, you are the knowing. And right there now, if one that knows, one that experienced the knowing, if one that experienced the knowing, not yet. There's still more going. And the knowing is what? Compassion. Love. I got this reassured from my grandmaster. I talked to him. He said that if you understand the Buddha nature, you understand the essence of the mind, but you still don't have a compassion, you don't have a love, then it's still useless. Until that knowing comes with compassion and love, then that would be the complete. Because from here, that would solve the problem between the self and the others. All the conflicts out there because of the view of self, the view of the other. But if you have compassion and love, then there is no selves, no others. And right there, the union of harmony, then you end your suffering. Very, very important to understand, because of lots of people that have a touch of knowing, have a touch of the Buddha nature, the essence of the mind, but doesn't have the compassion and the love yet. Until one that practices sometimes, and then when compassion and love grows from the knowing, then this is the complete. From love, compassion and love, there's no need to reborn. It doesn't matter anymore. You reborn, it's okay. You're not reborn, it's okay too. It doesn't matter anymore. But right now, at this point, if we can solve our problems with others, if we can solve that, then it's a happy state. That's it. So, I hope that this is a very short presentation. Unprepared, I just throw out things. If anything that we can discuss about, that we're not so clear about, so we can go into it a little bit more, that would be great. Yes.
I have two questions.
Yes.
One is regarding pre-programming, which relate to mind. The other one is love and compassion. Love is understandable. Compassion sometimes is not great. So recently I've been learning about chakras, the energy centers. And 3 energy centers are consumptions of our energy. So the heart chakra doesn't get enough energy and love. I'm not sure compassion. And they said as long as the heart gets charged or get energy, immediately goes to the brain and then connect to the hive.
Yes.
So the mind and the survival chakras, the three bottom one, consumes a lot of energy, and that's related to mind, I guess. So when I talk about can we change the programming, it's my mind exhausting mental, and the perception is the storage of memory and assuming. So can we change, or can we do on that aspect, or just let go and then come to zero, and then how to grow more?
Are we familiar with the word chakra?
Yes.
Okay, so there are 7 chakras. Okay, so each chakra represents a different mental state, which is going up, and up. So it's just like that. In Theravada traditions, that they have the 4 stages: the entrance stream, the first stage, the second stage, and the complete state. Same thing with the chakras, like that. And each stage represents the Buddhist views. Each stage eradicates some of the fetters, which we have talked about sometimes before. When you attain the enter-stream level, the first 3 fetters will be wiped out, so the self, the doubt, and then the ritual rites. So the first 3 levels, they're going to, eradicate it. And then as you go up, and then another other fetters going to wipe out such and such, such and such. So until that you hit to the very top level. And the top level is right there, it's not finished. Until that, you're gonna see unconditional love and compassion. You just love. You just feel compassionate to others. There's no reason. There is no reason that they say, oh, because of this, because of that, and that's why I feel compassionate, I feel love toward others. No, it just pour out in, profusely. And that's how you reach the very top level of, let's say that, I'm going to use this strong word of enlightenment. I don't know if that makes sense. She's first.
Let's see if I can articulate this. So I'm curious what your thoughts are about, so the sensation of happiness through love and compassion, how do you, it's a good feeling, right? How do you separate that from liking that, or that initial, oh, I like this feeling? How do you not associate the two of like the positive sensation with the liking, with the body responding?
Of course, that we all pre-programmed, and that's why that I used the examples of the beautiful lady. Just right now, that if I'm thinking of a pizza, I'm gonna celebrate myself because of the pre-program, because I tasted the pizza before, and because I liked the pizza, and that likeness, stored into the storage of consciousness. And then once I see it, I see the pizza, or I think of the pizza, the perception goes into the consciousness, the storage of consciousness, pull out the information which that I like and dislike before, and then therefore the reaction of the body goes with it, and then we feel pleasure when I see pizza, and so it's everything is pre-programmed, is programmed. Yes.
Yeah, a comment and a question. So what you just said, probably everybody already knows, it's called a Pavlovian response. You salivate when you see the pizza or you smell it. My question is, you said it was hard to understand, and I think you said the knowing and the breath are the same, and maybe you could explain that more.
Okay, now, we all know the oceans. We all know the waves from the oceans. Waves represent thoughts and feelings and emotions and everything. Where does thought, feeling, emotion comes from? Which is the waves? The waves coming from the water, right? So when the waves subside, they come back to the water. They don't go anywhere. The waves, you cannot, plug the waves out of the water. You cannot. So the wave exists because of the water. So when the wave rises, it rises from the water. And when the waves subside, it subsides down to the water. So that's why that the breath and the knowing is the same. This is very hard, but up until some point one will understand this is it. It's not, we cannot use reasoning to understand this, because of this is the intuition that goes direct, bypass the knowledge, the accumulated knowledge, the teaching. This is direct experience. And then right there, that when we look, then we know this is knowing. When we listen to a sound, we know this is knowing. There is no separation. We go back to the core, we go back to the water. We don't cling on the waves anymore. It's like that.
I don't get it yet, but that's all right.
Okay.
It's not easy to understand.
Thank you for not getting it, because of for 10 minutes, and then you understand it, then it's not worth it.
You have to have the direct experience.
Yes. The intuition, go direct to experience without transcribing, without endowing such and such. Even that, if the Buddha come to your life and then try to tell you such and such, you still will not get it until that you go direct yourself experience that. Then you would understand what it is.
So are compassion and love the same thing?
Compassion and love very much alike. That actually, if we go into the definition, the compassion first of all, loving kindness. That you feel, and you really feel, and then you share the empathy to a person. But that's it. But with the compassion, we go one more step, that we made it into an action. Into an action that, that person is in need of this. Can I offer what needed for her? That is compassion. That we go one more step. Compassion is not a word, it's a verb. Put it that way.
So compassion does include an action. What if you have somebody who just sympathizes, but they don't do anything concrete?
This is the, let's say that you see a homeless person on the street. He needs money, and then you're wondering that if he's gonna need that money for drugs or for food. It goes to that extent, and based upon your judgment, what you can do because of you can use the money to buy food and then give it to him, then that would solve the hunger. Instead of giving him money, then he might use it for the wrong purpose.
Can that be?
He was, yeah.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I'm a little confused, but my example would be, or the question is, just use the example of the beautiful woman. So, what if you are in a relationship or married, and if you had likes or dislikes and thoughts? So, how does that work in a relationship?
Okay. You want to go into this? Okay. At first, you don't have no clue about your partner. Let's say that you first met, you don't. But as the relationship went on, and then you begin to study the good and the bad, and then it stores in the memory. And then sometimes in the middle of argument or anything that you don't feel that fits in your categories, then that will come out. And right there, because of the comparison from the beginning, as opposed to what you know the person, right there, the hardship comes. Instead, as Krishnamurti said, that if we can see our partner every day, like the first day that we met, then everything will be okay. But just because of we store every like and dislike into the storage house, and then we bring it out to compare. Oh, you used to be like this, and now you're like this, and conflict begins. And say that if we can see the person like at first love, first day of love, then everything will be okay. But unfortunately, it doesn't happen that way. So very much that at the first date, it might be a love, but then after that, tolerance is the word for it.
Can there be compassion without love, and can there be love without compassion?
They are very much alike, and I don't know if you have compassion and then the quality of love doesn't exist, or vice versa. In either way, but the thing is that if love and compassion, because of the condition, then it might not be okay, it might not be complete. But love and compassion with a condition, then it doesn't matter anymore. You just do good for others.
Going back a step, if there's no liking and there's no disliking, there's no craving and no aversion, is that equanimity?
Short of equanimity, so the equanimity because of the empty, which see, the mind doesn't react. Now, remember, equanimity is a mental state, even though it's a very high mental state. But the equanimity means the mind doesn't react to the object. A different equanimity with the nature, with the essence of the mind. It's different. The mind doesn't react. But it's still the mental process, even though it doesn't react. It's still a mental process.
Okay, so equanimity in terms of a mental reaction would be like a straight line.
Straight line that you see on the monitor.
And equanimity in terms of Buddha nature would be the board.
The board, the line and the monitor, the line that appears on the monitor. The monitor, the screen of the monitor, and the lights are two totally different things.
Thank you. I didn't make that distinction until now. Thank you.
Yeah.
So before you started, I was having a question to myself, like who's looking through my eyes, you know? And then you started explaining, and I still see who's looking through my eyes, just emptiness, yeah? I don't see anything. Then when I look at the object, it's almost, I don't know if I call it a reflection, but it's still.
Who's looking?
Yeah, still who's looking, yeah?
It's all process of mind and body. That's it. Much less that we can understand that when you're looking at me, I'm not here. I'm in your brain right now.
Yes.
And in the brain, which means that the working of the mind.
That's what I think the outcome was.
Yeah, the working of the mind. It's not I'm present, far away from you.
The other thing I wanted to tell you is that when you say "so what," I felt the love and compassion.
Yes. You love yourself. You're compassionate to yourself, and that's
I
it.
forgave myself for not having control of what is happening.
Yes.
Yeah?
Thank you.
So I got that part, and I can understand, I can experience it, but I'm very quick in forgetting. And I get my answer because I don't practice. So I think I forget more faster. Because I feel like, when can I have that state of knowing 100%? And I know you're wrong, but you don't have it 100%, but I want 100%.
Practice brings you to the Carnegie Hall. Practice, you keep doing it, the mind becomes habitized, and that's it. There's no other way. You train the mind. The word training the mind is more appropriate.
So our love and compassion states of mind like wiggles on the board?
Yes,
the nature?
Still the waves on the monitor. But we discern. We have to discern that the wave on the nature depends on the condition or no conditions. Depends on the condition or no condition. This is very important because of the for the realized being, the really understand, really enlightened being. They just pour out compassion. They just pour out for no reason. It's just like the Dalai Lama said that I treat everyone I met just like an old friend, even though that I haven't met that person before. It's just like that. I treat everyone just like an old friend, even though I don't know that person. Can we do that? Can we see a stranger and then we just, just like an old friend? That's how the real enlightened beings react. I know that what you think because of the lately story of him. Yes.
You say love and compassion, and I say because I like love and compassion as a feeling, not action. I'm like, check, I can do that, But when I think love and compassion, then I think about greed, which I have, illusion, fear. Then it's very hard to have love and compassion.
Right.
Because if I'm afraid, if I give you stuff and I'm gonna be missing, like as you said, if I buy you food or the homeless person food, then it takes away from my bank account. So I have to start thinking now. And that means I don't have the compassion of just doing because I'm still in fear of worrying about myself.
At this stage, we might have to force ourselves into into love and compassion. It's just like myself, I go to the supermarket, I see a fresh produce. Do I pick the fresh one or do I pick the poor one? If I pick the fresh one, then I leave the poor one to the next person. So this, at this level, we might have to force ourselves a little bit that to make it happen. If now, don't try to overbite what you can chew, which means that you try to be compassionate, to love, but then you're gonna be sorry for later. Then it wouldn't be wise. You would rather not doing it, so you don't feel sorry for yourselves later. It's just like that. The important thing is that you recognize the stage where you are. Oh, I'm at the level that I can sacrifice, to pick up the old produce and leave the fresh one for the other, and everything okay. But if I can, then just go as normal as we can. But the important thing is that we recognize that, oh, this is where I am. Jimmy?
So if you recognize that, then you can say, so what? Because it is what it is.
Yes.
Is that correct? You don't have to worry about whether you're right or whether you're wrong, because you understand that. You don't have to worry about it. So then you can say, so what?
So what, in a way that,
correct?
yes, so what works in two ways. A way that to forgive yourselves, and another way is that you might be careful when you say so what, because it might, the unwholesome thoughts that leads you to a wrong direction.
Could you then say, I understand?
Yes.
Instead of saying, so what?
Yes.
You can say, I understand.
Yes, you can say
I
that
understand
too.
the consequences, whether
Yes.
I do or whether
Yes.
I don't. It is what it is.
Yes.
It is what it will be. So you understand. Is that? Could we replace that word and just?
Yes, because you made a boo boo to yourself, and then you don't try to remorse the boo boo that you made. Then you say, oh, I understand, and so what I just did. But that doesn't mean that you're gonna. Yes. It doesn't mean that you're gonna. Now, another thing is that doesn't mean that you're gonna make the same mistake and then you say, so what? And then you say, oh, you walk on. No, it's not. It's not on that situation. So what? It's okay, and I understand it's okay. But the next step is that the situation which gonna happen, you're not gonna react the same thing. Well, you try not to. Then that's the right way. Instead of saying so what, and then you use that so what as an argument. You make boo boo again, and then you say so what. Then it's wrong. Yes.
Is the seventh chakra a reference to Buddha nature?
Seventh chakra is the stages, and each stage is a mental state. The Buddha, it has nothing to do with Buddha nature. It's just that you reach to the level of understand. This is how the mind is. This is where the mind is on the map. But as long as you represent something as an object, then it is not Buddha nature. We cannot relate any kind of object. We cannot relate Buddha nature as an object, because there's nothing that compare through the six senses.
I wasn't thinking of it as an object. I was thinking of it as a reference. I was wondering.
No. Even reference, because we have to use something. You have to use symbol as reference, right? Any kind of symbol. But then symbol is not a Buddha nature.
The chakra is based on Hindu belief. It's a yogic practice. Chakra is the state of being, energy state. There are 7 energy states. Each energy state represents different types of being or state of mind, right? That has nothing to do with Buddha nature. In the practice of Kundalini and chakra, in those beliefs, they're aspiring to, what they're really aspiring to is the superego.
To what again?
Superego. That means they want to practice to elevate into this super state. So there's still attachment to an idea of some great state that you achieve into, right? You work towards, you achieve into. Buddha nature is the opposite of that. There's in the practice of in the chakra, moving into this great state. There's still a knowledge of a self going into the state or being into the state. In Buddhism, there's no self. That's the difference.
So the 7th chakra is still a mental state?
It's still mental.
If we can break it through, we can go into the self and the super selves and such in comparison to the definition of Buddha nature and such. Maybe next time or so, because of this is very interesting. That Hinduism, they use the word self is very much alike to Buddha nature. Very, very much. It's not itself as Buddhism terms to. It's let's say that sometime in Hinduism they use the word Atman, such and such, but depends on the definition which one that describes to. I said, and very much that very later famous Hindu teachers, they use the word self as Buddha nature. But we can go into that later on because this is a very interesting subject too. So when we get into the nature of the mind, the Buddhist psychology, understanding by introspection, which breaks down the process of the mind so we can get rid of suffering. Thank you.